Hello, and welcome back to the Sustainable Brown Girl podcast. This show exists to connect Black, Brown, and Indigenous women who are interested in sustainability. Our goal is to inspire, encourage, and educate each other, from gardening to thrifting to minimalism to veganism and everywhere in between. We are all on a journey to taking care of our bodies and our planet. I'm your host, Ariel Green. In a society in which we are constantly exposed to advertisements encouraging us to buy the latest and greatest products, it's no wonder that many of us overconsume and fill our homes with too much stuff. Although some people have been living minimalist lifestyles for decades, the idea became more mainstream with Japanese author Marie Kondo's book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, which was further popularized with a subsequent Netflix series. With more people decluttering their closets and downsizing their living spaces, I wanted to talk to Sadie Daffer, the creator of the Mixed Up Minimalist blog, which focuses on minimalism, zero waste, and making sustainable life changes. In this episode, we'll be talking to this sustainable brown girl about the connection between minimalism and sustainability. Thanks so much for joining us today, Sadie.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yay. Okay, so, looking through your blog, I've been following you on Instagram for at least a few months now, and I love all of the content you post with the minimalism and zero waste. And let's just start with, what does minimalism mean to you?
For me, it means just living simply, unsubscribing to that consumerist mindset, and just really focusing on having the items you need that bring you more utility rather than just stuff in your house. And just not putting energy into non-essential items, both just in your house and your workspace and in your daily life.
And how did you start your minimalism journey?
I didn't start it as one day I just decided I was going to be a minimalist. It kind of happened over the last 3 years in a kind of slow progression. It first really kicked off when I moved from Oklahoma City to Portland, Oregon. I sold everything in my apartment. I packed up my car and I drove to Portland to start the job that I have right now. And I moved with my best friend, so we had a 1,300 square foot apartment. And as soon as I got there, I started, of course, filling it with furniture and all kinds of things. And 9 months later, when I moved into my own apartment, is when I realized I had collected so many things in the span of just 9 months that what used to fit in one car now took 15 trips in my car.
Oh my gosh.
I was just amazed at how quickly I had accumulated so much more stuff. So I was moving into a 400 square feet studio apartment and I just couldn't fit it in there. I had to sell a lot of my stuff. I had to really think about, okay, what can I fit in the space? What can't I fit in the space? It really changed just how I lived entirely at that point.
Yeah. When you decided to downsize, was it with the thought of being more interested in minimalism, or was it just a necessity?
At that time, it was just a necessity. I was, going to live by myself in a very expensive city on a government paycheck. So there wasn't a lot of extra money. And so I had to really do a lot of research before I bought things, make a lot more conscious efforts. I couldn't just go to the grocery store and buy an 8-pack of paper towels anymore. I just didn't have the space. And so I had to use essentially what I had already and not add more, and just be very strategic. And that slow process of just finding things that would actually fit into my life, literally and figuratively, slowly just made me change my behavior, change how I thought about items. And it led me to being a lot more sustainable.
Yeah. So after downsizing, then what kind of interests you about sustainability?
Yeah, so I've always had a slight interest. I would say stronger than a slight interest. My
Yeah.
degree actually is in environmental science. My
Oh,
bachelor's is
cool.
from the Oklahoma State University. Yeah, and it's, of course, I'm one of those people that graduates with a degree and doesn't really practice it.
Hmm.
My job now is in health and safety, and so they're semi-related. But my environmental science background, I've always loved just thinking about the earth and its value to both humans and animals. And it's kind of always been there in the background. And once I found minimalism, I kind of got re-engaged into sustainability and environmentalism because they
Mm,
do have such a connection. And so it's almost like minimalism brought me back to my roots of being a younger environmentalist.
that's awesome. So when you decided to pursue environmentalism for your degree, like what was that? What caused that?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I knew that there were three main ways people kind of helped in the world. I knew there were those people that focused on humans and helping people in their daily life. There were really strong animal activists. And then there were the people that were the environmentalists. Those were the three top things I saw people helping out and volunteering for. And from my point of view, I figured my strongest and best interest would be into to investing into the environment because it would preserve both human and animal life in the long run because it's our foundation. It's where we live. It's our necessity for us to exist. And so I was looking through and I saw the degree in environmental science and I saw there was an option for policy. And I was like, policy, environment, that's exactly where I need to be because
Wow.
policy is the only thing that gets, things changed.
Definitely, definitely. So, well, now being in a completely different industry, well, and maybe it's not completely different, but, not being in the industry that you went to school for, is your blog kind of like your creative outlet?
Yes, that's exactly what it has become. It's so nice. It's so nice to be able to think back and be like, I want to make a difference. And, you have all these younger aspirations. You're like, I'm going to change the world. And then you
Mm.
get into the real world and you do kind of get jaded and you're like, okay, I need to make money and I need to find something that's secure. But having the extra time during my day where I can think about my actions and write about what motivates me, and I can join like Greenpeace talks and listen to
Yeah.
different conferences and get inspired by other people. It makes me honestly want to eventually transition into a job where I'm doing more environmental policy work. But for the moment, it is just so nice to have an outlet for something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, definitely. And there's so much information to just like
Oh,
absorb and wow, it's
yeah,
just like it's easy to get overwhelmed, huh?
for
Do you
sure.
ever
Yeah.
do you ever feel overwhelmed with things about sustainability?
All the time. All the time. Because I feel like every single day I go on Instagram and I learn about a new topic or a new issue and it is overwhelming. And so you do have to almost train yourself to take a step back and pick certain topics that you really want to be invested in and kind of become the subject matter expert in those topics and be like, okay, I'm going to focus on this while still being conscious that there is so much more out there. And then working to preserve your energy in a way of not burning out on all the different issues because really honestly it is never ending. There's so many different people, so many different places, so many things happening consistently at one time, and we do have
Mhm.
access to all the information to know about all the issues happening at one time. So I definitely do social media checks. I limit myself out on hours of the day and try to take a step
Mhm.
back and engage when I do have the energy to do so.
Yeah, definitely. So would you say that your focus is more on the minimalism and zero waste aspect?
Yeah, I would definitely say that.
Yeah. So I saw on your Instagram that you did the No Waste November challenge last year. I did Plastic Free July and it was a struggle. So I can't imagine just like no waste at all. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I think it's awesome that you did Plastic Free July, and I'm actually excited to do that this year. So,
Yeah.
No Waste November for me was a really cool experiment. It was essentially the jumping off point for my blog, for transitioning my page. But I will say that the term zero waste, I believe, is misleading because it
Yeah.
still encompasses recycling, it still encompasses your compost waste. And so, like, even today, there are plastic items that I buy that are single use from the grocery store and I recycle them. And so
Mhm.
even though it's still a waste stream, since it's recycling, I can technically count it as zero waste. So I
Mhm.
almost would say being the term zero waste is looser than plastic free. I would say it's almost slightly
Oh,
easier.
that's very interesting, and I totally see your point.
Yeah, I think plastic free July is going to be way harder than my zero waste
Yeah. Yeah,
November.
it was so hard. I didn't, I mean, I completed it, but definitely I had plastic, you know?
Mhm.
So, I'm interested to
Yeah.
see how it goes for you. How would you say minimalism and sustainability are related?
I think that they exist together. They're interconnected predominantly because you're changing your mindset. You're not subscribing to the normal consumerist lifestyle. You're kind of unburdening yourself from the everyday, the constant buy, buy, buy. Um,
Mhm.
so I think they're very tied because you start when I started minimalism per se. Oh man, that was a weird word. Okay, sorry. When I started minimalism, um, I focused more on items that would bring me a lot of utility, that were multi-use. And that really does translate to being more sustainable because using your items again and again, finding items that are going to last a long time, that essentially is being sustainable. And so to me, I think they're really interconnected and you can have one without the other, but when you do have that conscious mind shift, they become very, very similar.
Yeah, I totally agree. And for me, with sustainability, I noticed that, once I started really thinking about my impact and stuff, that I would buy less things. So yeah, so definitely
Right.
sustainability and minimalism are connected because, when you're concerned about the planet, you just think about things differently. So, buying things is probably one of the first things that you stop doing. So, what tips can you offer to people who are interested in minimalism?
I think the first one is know your triggers. So know kind of what will encourage you to buy things. I know mine, it was watching TV ads, seeing people, wearing different clothing that's in style that would get me subscribing to a lot of company emails. I would always get the sale, sale, sale. And I would
Mhm.
click the link, some online shopping, and then sometimes just going into stores, going into a Target was very bad for me. Like there's just so much stuff. I don't know what they do to that store, but it makes you want to buy everything. And
For
so
real.
I actually stopped buying cable and I now pay, a couple extra dollars for my TV show subscription so that I don't
Mhm.
get commercials. That's cut down
Mhm.
a lot of my unsubscribing from those emails for different companies helps. And then I just don't go to Target. I'm not going to lie. Just try not to walk in there at this point.
Love it.
And then I would also say research. When I first started minimalism, I was, watching a couple documentaries, looking for other people. And so finding a community where other people were going through a similar process and talking about it, different Instagram pages, different YouTube pages. When I came across your YouTube page, I was so excited. I was like, yes, another brown girl that's doing this. It's so nice to be able to
Yeah,
just connect, see other people going through a similar process and gaining information because everyone has a different, set of informational knowledge. And so when we like pull together that, it's so beautiful.
totally agree. Do you have any other tips?
I do. I have one more. So taking it slow. I feel like downsizing is it can be really overwhelming, especially if it's forced upon you, if you're, going through a move or something like that. It's just a lot of mental roadblocks to work through because we've been socialized into such a consumerism mindset at such a young age. So be gentle with yourself. You're unlearning a lot of behaviors when you're going through the minimalism or even the sustainable process. And, just take it slowly at your own pace.
Definitely. Definitely. Those are awesome tips. So going back to when you said that you found Sustainable Brown Girl and you were like, oh, that's great, seeing other brown people who are in this movement. Why do you think it's important to highlight that and, in the Black and brown people of color community?
For sure. For me, I feel like I haven't been in this space for a very long time. I feel like I really entered the space when I started the No Waste November challenge. And I wanted to connect with other people and I wanted to have these conversations. And there were just some questions that I feel like a lot of the people that have sustainable pages, that have minimalism pages couldn't answer. One of the questions I had was will a shampoo bar work on curly hair? Like, is that going to dry me
Yes.
out? And so, just like having those questions about like, there's differences between different cultures and how they operate. And so finding other Black and brown POCs that are in this realm is honestly just very comforting for me because I know they're going to offer a perspective that I can relate to on a better level. I honestly feel like, additionally, with the amount of sustainable bloggers and Instagrammers, they all have these very curated pages that are
Mm-hmm.
they just seem so unachievable. You see the mason jars for their trash for a year, and it
Yep.
just seems like a standard that's so hard to reach. And
Yeah.
whenever I see Black and brown, predominantly women, I'm not going to lie, I see a little bit less men,
Mm-hmm.
but they just seem so much more authentic in their process of going about this. And it's a better experience. It's more welcoming. I feel like I can connect easier. It's not so unattainable and out of reach because I don't have like a metal popsicle maker, like these items are expensive that they promote. And, I look at them, I'm just like, I cannot afford these things. I would love to have them, but I want to approach minimalism and sustainability from a realistic perspective. So that's just been my personal experience. It just doesn't seem like a community. The community that I see a lot just doesn't
Yeah,
relate to me on a personal level compared to
definitely.
Black and brown. Yeah.
I totally agree. And that's one of the things that I love about your page and your blog is that it just seems so real. Like you're just filming this like on your day
Oh,
off or
thank
whatever, you're
you.
taking a picture. Yes, it makes me feel so much better about how my stuff looks because it's not as pretty as yours, as like you said, some of the
Oh,
other sustainability
yeah,
people.
exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I
So
appreciate that. I do. I try to be really authentic and really show like this is just how I live.
mhm. Yeah, and it makes it so much more realistic, and it just feels like it's not so big of a step to take, because when you're looking at other people's pages that are so curated, it's like, I'll never be on that level, so why even try? But seeing regular people do it
Right.
and making it look so normal is definitely normalizing it. So, love that about your page.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what's the goal? I didn't put this down, so it's okay if it takes you a minute to think about it. But do you have, I'm trying to think of how to phrase it because it just came to me. Do you have a goal for your blog? Like, is there anything that you want to achieve, say within the next year or two?
For sure. I definitely have goals for it. When I started the blog, I definitely started with a long term perspective. I didn't know if people would even be interested. I
Mm-hmm.
just was like, I'm going to do this for the next 3 to 5 years, and I'm going to just catalog what's going on in my life. And if people like it and they're interested in it, that's great. If not, then, just my experience at the end of the day. But for sure, I think one of my main goals is to transition to more of a cost-based zero waste lifestyle. One of the things that I've been doing lately is just kind of comparing cost of reusable items compared to disposable items. And
Oh,
I want to highlight the affordability of the zero waste movement. Like, I made toothpaste, and I think it was like 67 cents for a 2 to 3 month supply of toothpaste.
wow.
And, you know, yeah, I made some all purpose cleaner for 25 cents. And just wanted to let people know that zero waste is not this, curated, super expensive lifestyle. You can make it manageable for anyone on any budget. And I really want other Black and Brown people, especially, to, be open to the idea and think that it's possible for them to make this transition as well. So, I mean, I would love to, have a good audience of people that are interested in the zero waste movement and that are Black and Brown. I'd love to open that space up for them as well.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Speaking of some of the zero waste transitions you've made with the toothpaste and the cleaner, what are some of the things that you've transitioned, to zero waste that you wish you would have done sooner, like it's changed your life?
Oh, yeah. Um, That's a great question. I think, honestly, paper towels. I
Mm,
used to go through rolls and rolls of paper towels. They were a household staple. We had
mhm.
them all the time. We would buy like super packs, and we'd go through them like crazy. And transitioning to just using my cloth paper towels was really hard for me because it was a mental roadblock of,
Yeah.
always having that disposable thing, super easy to clean up. But now that I still have several of cloth towels, and they're easy. I just keep, like, I have one in my backpack when I travel. I have one on my office desk for when I eat lunch at my desk, even though I'm not supposed to, like, I keep them in these places where they're just really handy. I use them for all kinds of things in the kitchen. I've just become really accustomed to just washing them and reusing them. Another one that's more women focused, I do use a menstrual cup. I
Yes.
saw my friend using one, yeah, years ago, and I was just like, what is that? Why? I thought it
Mhm,
was crazy.
mhm.
And now I'm like, this is the best thing ever. I will never, ever go back to ever using
Same,
a tampon. There's no way. Yeah.
same.
And
Yeah,
so it's so great, and it produces zero waste. It's amazing.
yeah. With the menstrual cup, I that was probably one of my first transitions, although when I did it at the time, it wasn't like, "Oh, this is zero waste, let me do it." I just kinda wanted to try it because I always hated tampons, I hated pads, and so with
Mhm.
the menstrual cup, it's just 100% life-changing. Totally agree.
Right? Yes. Yes.
Has there been anything that you've tried zero waste and was just like, "I can't do it?"
Um, oh, honestly, okay. So lately I've been trying out different cleaning sponges. I
Mhm.
tried those natural fiber scrubbers. I've tried the 100% like plant fiber sponges. I've tried a lot of different sponges, and they just either don't clean very well or they disintegrate. So
Mm.
I haven't given up yet, but I am really, really trying to find some type of cleaning product to scrub my dishes. It has
Yeah.
been a long road.
Oh, yeah. I'm still using the, like, wire scrubbers. I don't think those are recyclable, though.
Oh, I don't know either. I bought some steel wool to clean my cast iron skillet the other day, and I
Mm.
didn't realize it had soap in it. So
Oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah. It's been an interesting journey. It has not gone in my favor. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens. See what happens.
It's a lot of trial and error for sure.
It is. It is. And that's something that doesn't really bother me because it's like, oh, I get to test this out and see if it works. So
Exactly.
it's kind of
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally agree.
Mhm.
What is one simple step that anyone can take to be more sustainable?
I'm gonna say being more sustainable in everyday life. A simple step would be bringing your own reusable napkin. Um,
Mm.
this really, it has been great for me because I didn't realize, I'd go out to lunch with coworkers and use a bunch of napkins. After going to the bathroom, I'd use napkins to dry my hands. When you go out to like a bakery or something, they always give you something in a paper bag. And so I started carrying around my own napkin, and I just realized how useful it was. I've had people put food on the cloth napkin. They look at me a little weird, but it turns out great, and I don't have any waste. Going to the bathroom, I can just dry my hands with it if I've got it right there with me in my backpack. It's just very convenient, and I can also use it like as a tissue if I don't have any Kleenex around. So I think it's just like a really great multi-purpose item that can be pretty small and easy to carry with you.
That's a great tip. I never really considered that, especially to be the like one simple step, but that is super simple. And you're right, there's so much. Like if you just go out to eat, they put 5 or 6 napkins on your table, and it's like,
Right.
oh, okay. But yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Oh, thank you.
And lastly, Sadie, where can everybody find you?
Yes. So my main page is Instagram at the Mixed Up Minimalist. I also have a blog. It's the mixedupminimalist.com, and a YouTube channel of the exact same name, the Mixed Up Minimalist.
Awesome. Everybody, please go follow Sadie everywhere. She's amazing, and you will learn so much from her tips. Thanks again so much for talking with us today. It was great getting your insight and learning from you.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been such a great pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this Sustainable Brown Girl podcast. Be sure to subscribe and share it if you loved it, and leave a review. You can find us on Instagram at Sustainable Brown Girl, and check out our Facebook community. We would love to have you there. Until next time, let's continue to make healthy choices for the health of our planet and the health of our bodies. Thanks for listening.